Hey there. This is episode 1, and I'm just going to label this one an introduction because a lot of y'all don't even know who I am, but I am the Heated Grizzly. I came mainly off of TikTok. I am across multiple of the social media platforms, but mainly on TikTok. Currently pushing other platforms. I'm on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram as well. And the reason I'm here, the reason that we decided I had to start this podcast, and by we, I mean me and my friends, people that are close to me that have seen my lives that I do and videos that I do. I can't talk about a lot of things on TikTok, which a lot of y'all will understand anyway, because a lot of y'all have TikTok. Most people have TikTok these days, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk about. That's the thing I'm talking about first because it's the reason why I'm here. I have lots of other things I'm going to talk about over the course of this thing, and I'm even taking ideas. So feel free to reach out if you got something you want to see addressed. But I digress. Back to where I was at, which is why I'm here. There's a lot of stuff I can't say on TikTok or any other platform for that matter, except for maybe Instagram, which is very limited. One of the very first things that brings me over here is the fact of what people on TikTok can and can't talk about. Meaning, what I can and can't talk about is not the same thing that you can and can't talk about in a lot of cases. I see people get away with things that I know have gotten me banned. For example, the political things like the Trump Biden on either side, people pushing for gifts, support this side, you support this side. That's politics. If I say anything about politics in a live and it has happened before, I literally have gotten banned for weeks at a time. So I went to a strict policy on TikTok where I don't talk about religion, politics, sexual orientation stuff, you know, however you want to be. I mean, that's up to you. We'll get there. But other people can do that. I don't understand and I don't have a small following on TikTok. I've got a couple 100,000 followers and can't do it. But I see people getting away with it that are bigger and smaller. There's no, I don't believe there's an actual line they have. I don't know what their algorithm is throwing out there that decides how this goes on, but there's something definitely wrong. The standards are not the same for everybody, and that kind of leads into one of the other big things I don't like. I dealt with this literally just a couple weeks back. I was on TikTok, had to shut down my live because my brother come in and he said something that I knew I had to shut it down, go delete all my live video recordings, start it over, clear the cache, because he said I support the Second Amendment. I love my guns. That is in nowhere an offensive statement. If you do or don't love them, that's on you. But he said that. Personally, I am very pro Second Amendment. I used to be in the military. I'm all for it. I hunt, but he said that, and I knew I had to do that, so I did. But is that not a censorship of your rights? Just like the fact you can't talk about a lot of things, or at least I can't. Like I said, it's not going to be the same for everybody. Now, I've heard people recently in a live talking about guns and rifles, but I'm telling you, I have gotten banned for the same thing. Not even that long ago, this year. And on that note, I've been on TikTok for like 2 years, almost. So I've been doing lives for almost 2 years. No, it's October, so I've been doing lives for over 2 years now. But anyway, so rights are censored. There's certain things you can and can't talk about. You can't talk about guns. They don't want you to talk about that. You can't, like I said, a lot of people can't talk about religion, which is really weird because I see lives that literally only talk about that. I have a friend on TikTok that is part of a Bible club. But if I talk about the Bible in my life, I get banned. Where's the standard? Where does it actually fall? Another thing, which I kind of can understand this, and then at the same time, I don't. TikTok is not an app for kids, first off. Matter of fact, somebody told me there is a TikTok version for kids now. But people who smoke and or drink, I mean, I understand if somebody's being belligerent in some fashion that, if they're not getting off there, you kind of need to get them off, but and get them offline. But I haven't had it happen to me in a long time, but apparently people are still getting those warnings if TikTok sees them on there with a cigarette or a vape. That's their choice. Just because they're on video while they're doing it doesn't mean they're glorifying it. That just means they're doing it because that's the choice they made. Now, I know I'm going to catch flack for that one because people are going to be like, well, kids will do it because they saw you doing it. Well, you know, that's not the case. That's a whole nother story. Matter of fact, I should add that to the list of things we want to talk about, right? Um, because one of the things I do know is having kids and or nephews that are in school currently vaping and kids. These are coming from, and a lot of these kids are coming from families that don't even smoke, don't vape. So, whole nother subject. But they get those warnings. People have been kicked off for it. I did get kicked off one time for drinking, which is really funny because literally the entirety of almost the in November, Thanksgiving weekend will be 2 years I've been running my Friday night live. And on my Friday night live, I drink. About the only day of the week I do drink. I've been kicked off one time because of alcohol. I've been kicked off a couple times because of smoking or vaping. But the point is that if this isn't an app for adults, or if adults are supposed to be using this app, or people don't want to hear this one either, or if parents are paying attention to their children, those kids shouldn't be on there anyway, and it shouldn't be an issue. But it seems to be. Now I'm getting away from all that portion of it right there. That really says all I need to say in it. The standards aren't the same for everybody, and I just kind of wonder where that comes from, and that explains why I'm here. But now I'm gonna get into a couple very specific things with TikTok that kind of drive me a little crazy, that really just kind of blow my mind at the same time. I want to preface this first one off is that I have zero issues with people being gay or any of the other stuff for that matter. I have gay friends and I have gay followers. But one of the things I deal with on TikTok and have since pretty much day one of going live, because I have Grizzly in my name, I did not know, honestly, did not know at the time what bear was used for in our current climate of society. I lived in Alaska for 17 years. Some things just don't catch up there. But there are, obviously, I've got a couple moderators that have been with me for a long time, like since near the beginning. And I get on a nightly basis men that are obviously gay, they've got it in their bios or it's in their name or however they identify it, that will come in and say the raunchiest things, like the raunchiest and dirtiest stuff, just right out the rip. We end up blocking them. Now, one of my moderators I talked to before this, who happens to be my best friend, had said she used to actually report them. Well, I used to too. And literally, these vulgar comments come back with no violation. They're literally allowed to say anything they want. I had another friend that went into a live where a woman was barely dressed. He said she was hot. This happened last week. And he got banned for 7 days. Couldn't comment. All he said is she was hot. Nothing vulgar. She was barely wearing anything, apparently. But, why is that okay? Why is it okay for anybody that's to go in and do that anyway, but not okay for some? Why do some segments of our society get special treatment online, not just there, but in online in total as far as social media, where other people don't? I just think if we're going to have that out there, social media out there and everybody should be allowed to use it, the line should be the same. It should be constant. If that person can't harass that person, then that person shouldn't be able to harass the next. I mean, these may be things people talk to them about. I have no idea. That's not going to drive me off of TikTok. My block list is about as long as the trip from here to the moon, but and it's not just that. I get other people, that takes me right into the next thing, which is the trolls, which is the same thing. A lot of these troll accounts, literally, we've started to see these same accounts come back, but they'll just have like different numbers tagged on the end, stuff like that. They get blocked and they'll just go make another account and they'll come back and they rotate through it because you will see if you didn't block them, they literally rotate. Like you'll see one now and then you won't see them again for a couple months. TikTok watches us live creators, and even all of us that like to make our own little TikToks. They watch us like hawks half the time, but they can't keep that down. They don't watch that. They're worried about people being bullied and whatnot. If I say anything slightly off, I get kicked out for harassment and bullying, and I can't go live for a week. But you can come in and make comments about it. So, where do you really think they're coming from if those people aren't getting thrown out? What do you think is actually causing that? It's questions that I've asked. Of course, you never get an answer. And then another form of these trolls too that's been really bad lately. It used to not affect my main account. It used to only affect my backups because they're very low on followers. But now they've started to affect my main account, and that is these bots of women that have bios that have you know, go here. It's always something to take you off of TikTok. And literally, they'll go through, they'll like your comments, they'll like and follow you. And I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're fake. It's very obvious. But literally, I deal with dozens of those a week. Dozens. As far as that one's concerned, TikTok is the worst. And thing is being out there as a lower end on the influencer ranks, you can't just shut all your stuff off. You can't just make it where nobody can follow you. But at the same time, it's really hard not to do that because, I get more of those some days of those bots than I get of real people. So it makes it very difficult to deal with, which that, is a part of the reason there's been a lot of big creators that left TikTok. There's been a lot, not just for that reason or the followers or the censoring of things we say, but this last one in particular, which is the monetization stuff. Now, there's a couple aspects of this that I'm going to talk about. One of them being, I absolutely loathe the daily rankings thing. And if you're not familiar with what that is people literally getting on TikTok. And most of the time, now there are a few of those people that run the rankings, I will say that actually, they legitimate have something to put in or out there to talk about. Something real. Like they may have advice or stuff like that, or they actually interact with their people. But for the most part, these people literally are getting on. All they're doing is begging for your money to it is a paid popularity contest. That is the best way I can put it. It is a paid popularity contest. I have never partaken in daily rankings like that. But They still do this. Some of these people get on and literally, I have seen people give up hundreds of dollars, hundreds, just so that somebody can make it up the daily rankings for one day. Because the next day that starts all over. So you have people like that, and they do that all day long. So that ties up the queue because there's hundreds and thousands of people trying to do this every day, and that in my eyes, it messes with the algorithm because I don't think they separate that because you don't can't get on and say, hey, I'm only looking for people doing daily rankings. So it literally blasted out at everybody, and because they've been getting all these gifts, they end up way higher in the queue than people like myself that put together an actual show or a segment that does something, whether it be when I talk to people, and whether in some cases that's just listening to people because they just need to unload their problems. Some people ask for advice, some people just want to learn something. I've had somebody ask me to teach if I could teach them about CAD because that's what I do for work. And but without having any way to differentiate from that, it really, I think it messes with the algorithm. I think if they need to do something different for them because it'll put them up first almost always. Now I do know people that do it. I'm not criticizing if you can do that. You know what? I'm all for it. Go ahead, do your thing. But I think it affects us other creators that try to get on there and actually do something. The other end of it is there's two more things, which it comes more to monetizing on like my end, me receiving gifts and things like that. First thing is, or not receiving gifts, but let's say earning money. Has it? If you haven't noticed, there used to be a creator fund, and it might still be there. I went back and looked. I got on it, but TikTok throttled my views so much I lost 1,000% views in a day. So I got off of it in a month. But has anybody noticed the all you're seeing anymore is these advertisements from just random people, and one of the big ones is the Wise or YZ cameras. This is businesses that TikTok is paid to be able to them to put their stuff on TikTok and then pay you a very small percentage if you can get people to click the link and sell. Now that used to be something where you had to be approved to do it. You don't have to anymore. You literally can just click and be like, "Yep, I want to sell this in my shop." There's very little um, regulation on who can do it and what their platform actually is. My point to this is that TikTok's not paying most of the money that people are earning on TikTok anymore, and I think it's kind of odd. This is the other thing is the gifting. And this is why I think that's odd. Because if most of us on TikTok have given a gift before, whether it been a rose or even a huge gift like a lion. I mean, I've received gifts from all the way up through there. But that being said, something that a lot of people don't realize is number one, you buy your coins, right? And I can't look right now, but I can't remember how much $10 worth of $10 worth of coins is. I want to say it's like 700. So each of those coins is only worth a penny, right? So you're paying $10 to get $7. Okay, TikTok took $3. If that's the case, I don't know what this top number is. I can't remember off the top of my head. So now you've got 700. You got $7. So 700 pennies. Now we'll say you give a gift to me because you're in my live, and we'll say that just for the sake of this argument, that was 700 pennies of a gift. Or maybe you gave me 700 roses. I get that. At the end of the night, when my live ends and I get cashed out, I only get 350 of those pennies. TikTok takes another half. Now here's where it gets really funny. Now TikTok's on an auto payout thing. They only pay out on Wednesdays what you have earned uh, Tuesday through Monday. They pay out on the following Wednesday. So that 350, we'll just stick with that 350 pennies, which is $3.50 if we're anybody that's not keeping up. 350 pennies. Now, TikTok's going to automatically send that to you if you got your stuff set low enough to get that. And TikTok's going to take a percentage for sending it to only PayPal is the only way they will send it. I heard they were going to change it, but to my knowledge, it's still just PayPal. So I don't remember what the percentage is, but it's a percentage plus like some odd cents. So just for the sake of argument, we'll say that they take 25 cents, 25 pennies. So now you've got 325 that went to your PayPal. And now you're going to want that, unless you're like me. Not everybody has a PayPal debit card to their PayPal account. Unless you're like me, you're going to want to transfer that to your bank. PayPal's going to take another 25 cents plus some change if you need it right now. Now, if you don't need it right now and you can wait 1 to 3 days, it doesn't cost you anything. You get your 325 pennies. But if you need it now, it literally costs you to get your money now. And then you've got it to your bank account wherever you want it. So literally, if it was one of your friends that wanted to give you that gift, they spent $10. They spent $10 to give you just over $3. Most of that taken by TikTok. So, and they have, as far as platforms that where you can gift and what they take, they have the highest percentage they take. But they also have the longest reach. And they also have the honestly, the way that their lives do get pushed out for the most part is better than just about everywhere else. Um, Facebook will get out there a little bit, and Instagram will a little bit, but they're not still not looked at live platform like that, not like TikTok is. So, if you're not huge now, you're not getting pushed out to a lot of people right off the bat. So, but anyway, yeah. So TikTok gets all this money, but now TikTok's getting all this money. And you need to understand that some of these people that do daily ranks are getting millions of coins worth of gifts a day. Millions. So, where's all of that money actually going? You can't tell me they're using it to pay their people because you can't get a person on the phone. You can't get an email response worth a damn. The algorithm's what, for the most part, what kicks you off or off of live. Or if somebody reports you, and the algorithm is what takes into account reports and then kicks you off live. And if you try to do an appeal, it goes back to a computer system. And usually you get answered right away, and they're like, "Yep, still." But I've only had 2 appeals ever in 2 years overturned. And I play music a lot, so that's the only thing. Is it must be whatever's in the music. The algorithm don't like it. But with all that, that's why it lots of people, like I said, lots of bigger people have and are still leaving. If you ain't noticed, there's a lot of big creators that were very, very popular last summer. Not last summer, as in a couple months ago or a month ago, but as in like 22 that you rarely see anymore. Part of that's because they don't hardly put anything on TikTok anymore. And the other part of it's because they've left and went elsewhere because money's better. I mean, there's been videos about it. People make more money on Facebook and YouTube, which I'm on there and all my stuff's going to go there too. But nothing will ever change if we don't try to do anything about it. But is it really going to change is the question. Or are we just going to keep putting up with it like I have been? And a lot of people do because there's no real other avenue. I will say this, there was an app for a while that I still have an account on. And every once in a while I go visit it. And it's called Clapper. I don't know if anybody remembers. This is when all the big TikTok stuff went down in 21. People were switching over to Clapper, and even into 22 is when it got really big. Some of the big creators like Billy Bob and stuff like that, they went over there, and I went over there too. You want to know one of the big things about uh, Clapper that's so nice? Clapper does not take a percentage of money you gift. If you gift me $7, because I've gotten gifts of $7, you get $7. Now, there might be something that I've never made enough to. You got to have at least $100 in there to transfer out of there, and I don't do enough over there to gain. But could you imagine? I mean, I really could, and I've talked about this before. I could bring up my PayPal and see all of what TikTok has gave that I've gotten from TikTok just this year, which I'm pretty sure is somewhere in the range of a few $1,000s. And the thing that kills me about that is literally like 40% of what was actually gifted to me. So if it was $2,000, that means TikTok got like three. I mean, there's got to be something we can do, right? I don't know. I'll still be on TikTok. My names are the same across everything. Well, my name has recently changed on TikTok. I'm sure I will go back to the Heated Grizzly after a little bit, but I had to break a cycle that was happening on there. That was my own doing, but I had to break a cycle. So on there, I am currently Grizz's Demon. Um, and on everything else, I'm Heated Grizzly. So it's not hard to find me. If you do have anything you would like to add to this, please get in the comments. If you got subjects you'd like to hear about, put it in the comments or message me on one of my accounts. Like I said, I'm the same across everything. Heated Grizzly, the Heated Grizzly. You can find me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. So if you got anything you would like to hear about or you got stuff to add to this, please feel free to message me. And that is it for this week. I am going to do posting once a week. I will post at 7 o'clock on Mondays. So until next week, everybody, y'all have a great one. I hope your week goes great. And that's from the Grizzly.